Rush Hour versus No Diff Unks. So this will be the second in-division play for Get Good. Last game for this week for Get Good. And then we'll be heading down to Never Back Down Division to see how those matches go. Rush Hour and No Diff Unks have been in Get Good for the entirety of their careers. So familiar opponent here to start off Season 3. Gonna be on Rialto to start this one. Both teams opting for the tank bot, as most teams have. Does seem like a very solid role to put your eggs in, as you will end up with a very bulky roster, and with how bots fight, it does make sense that that would be a priority over a DPS or a support. Do tend to like to brawl, and tanks are the best for it usually. Oh my word, we're seeing it from Rush Hour. This is something we knew was possible, but it's here now, and it's gonna be on display against, oh gosh, it's gonna be on display here against No Diff Unks. We're gonna see the double Reinhardt against the double Winston. Oh gosh, what is this? Rush Hour, they gotta be feeling some type of way right now with the double Rhine coming out. We are going to see the double Rhine rush in Rialto coming out here as Tank 1 does select Rhine. He's going to get a pin immediately. However, there's going to be a trade. The Bastion putting in some value. So one of the Winston is going to fall here, but Bastion's putting in so much work already. And okay, No Diff Unks are going to start pushing this. Only Rhine number 2, aka Tank 1, is alive here. Winstons are going to regroup with their squad. It's very funny seeing two Winstons on a team here, as well as two Reinhardts on the opposite side. Gonna have a bunch of bubbles to work with, this Bastion, so have to watch out for him. He's going to be the carry of No Diff Unks throughout the season. Looks like Rush Hour is going to be regrouping with these two Rhines, looking to come back in. Anti immediately getting off here. However, doing a great job of keeping stuff alive, and Bastion is just to be an absolute menace here for Rush Hour. Shredding through everything they have to offer, and No Diff Unks going to keep pushing this one, so very good showing here on Rialto from this double Winston setup. Bastion able to get a lot of space to work with. Here comes the Rhine pin. He's not going to find much of anything. No Diff Unks, of course, they did lose to Logi Swords earlier today. Rush Hour were on the winning side against Microfish. Comes the Rhine pin, going to get that Genji. This double Rhine is looking absolutely scary here. It's hard to tell which Rhine is which. So on the other side, though, that Winston's going to be swapping off to a Ramatra. A little bit of counter swapping going on here. Going to have two mode shifting heroes on both sides. Ana able to bait out the Rhine charge. The Shatter only gets the Winston here. Bastion not going to be finding much with his mortar. And Rhine, Tank 1, getting a lot of kills here. Looking good here from Rush Hour with this double Reinhardt setup. Going to be hard to deal with. Winston going in pretty deep. He's on the Zen. Gonna get forced out a bit. The pins, though, and the Zen just shredding through this Winston. No Diff Unks struggling a bit here on the second point against two Rhines. Genji gonna fall. Comes the Rhine pin, getting this Winston. He's very low. He gets back into his spawn. And his Ana's gonna help keep him alive here. Gonna see another push coming out from No Diff Unks. Comes the Blade. Going straight for this Zen. He will pick him up, but he's going to get pinned into a wall by the Rhine, so not quite going to be enough. That Shatter is going to get blocked by the Ramatra, but it's not going to matter when they get frozen. And Rush Hour just absolutely spawn camping No Diff Unks at the moment. on the second point. It's been a real struggle to push through Rush Hour here. Rom going to pop his Nemesis form. Bastion in the back line is going to get pinned by Tank 1. And Reinhardt going to miss his pin on the front end of things. May going to take out the Rom. And this is just a dominant showing by Rush Hour so far on Rialto. Second point. The two Rhines are going to pin into the exact same spot. But doesn't matter. They're able to back off here. Oh, one of the Rhines will be slept. Genji going to dash in. Ever. Going to take himself off the map. Going to be somewhat helpful here for the side of Note of Unks. If they can get something started off of this, they're going to give the Nano over, but the Zen ultimate comes out, and that's pretty much going to deny anything that Ryan wanted to do, or the Rom wanted to do. And Rush Hour just continue to dominate here on this Rialto. Rush Hour just looking like a force to be reckoned with when they get this double Rhine set up. Comes the Winston. He does have that primal. He's going to try to push up here. He is going to find that Lucio with a boop. Here comes the Winston. He's trying to get more kills if he can. He's going to boop off the Mei as well. So 2 kills here for the Winston. Primal is going to start to push Note of Unks forward here. Is Winston going to help clean up that last Reinhardt? So we will eventually see more cart progress being made here from Note of Unks. They will eventually break the spawn hold. However, Rush Hour have eaten away a lot at this time bank. They are coming back in. Alright, here we go. The shatter, double shatter, layering their shatters on top of each other. Plus the Mei ultimate. It's a little bit of investment from ults there, but it does work out in the long run. And they are going to back off here. Note of Unks will. For the regroup. They are getting back together just now. Ryan's going to pin in. Going to get this Winston twice. They pinned him and then immediately pinned him again. Ramatra coming in very deep though. He gets on this Zen, but instead he will be pinned out, and that will just be the fight there. So Note of Unks really struggling here against Rush Hour. Get anything started. Very powerful team we have on the other side. Rush Hour have looked like a team to beat in. I'm going to finish himself off. Here comes the Rom. He does have this ult. Can he get anything done with it though? Does find that Zen. However, not able to find much else, and I don't know if he's even going to touch the payload. No, he will not. So that will just be where the payload ends, and that is where Note of Unks have to hold. They did swap off that Rhine at the very end, but weren't able to see the Mauga. Too much of it anyways. We'll see if they stick on the Mauga for offense. For Rush Hour. That double Rhine was something beautiful to witness. Also something very brutal. Have to see here if this continues. Headed on to the second boy, so there will be that Mauga going to be maintained on Rialto. Ramatra gonna stay on the defense here, so we'll see if that can get anything done here. For the side of Note of Unks, they do need a very good hold against this Rush Hour squad. Rush Hour looking like another one of those teams that's going to be hard to beat this season. I think they and Krusty Crushers will probably be the top of this Get Good division. They're looking. Both teams have been looking very powerful through the first week here. I don't believe either squad have dropped the map yet. It looks like Rush Hour is trying to continue that dominance here. They are going to go Mauga Rhine, so I think this is going to be a little weaker than the Rhine, to be honest. I think Rhine has raised his stock, whereas Mauga has kind of lowered it. However, Rhine pinning himself off the map is not a good sign. And Malga did pick off the Ana, so they at least do get something there. So maybe I spoke a little too soon on the praise. Not going to quite get the Bastion. He almost did. So No Diff Unc's able to keep a little bit of spawn camp going here. They're going to need this if they want to win. So good start here for No Diff Uncs. Zen going to get evaporated. However, Ryan going to come out and pin that Winston. Ryan swinging away, going to take out the rest of the squad, and Rush Hour will continue, or start their push anyways. I think all the spawns are going to happen pretty soon here, so we'll see how far Rush Hour can get up with this payload. That Malga pick is a very interesting one to see from Rush Hour, but it seems to be working for them so far. So far, so good, as they say. Alright, here comes the Winston. Gonna look for this re-engage. He gets onto this payload. Genji gonna dash in. Ana gonna fall in a trade. Bastion gonna be falling though on the side. Oh boy, the Winston is gonna get pinned on the long way. And this is looking pretty strong here. For Rush Hour, they are just rolling, cruising on through this first point. Winston gonna get in here. However, looks like No Diff Uncs will be able to take this fight here, so doing a good job on this attack. Ana might go down here though, if she's not careful. Looking for this Mei on the spawn camp, so the spawn camp is going to have to be huge. That is not an ideal usage of the Bastion ult. He is out and exposed. Not ideal. However, Winston able to find the Lucio in the back line. And some deflex coming through here from that Genji. Zen getting half HP on the outside looking in. Here comes this Malga ult foolishly into a lot of ults of the other team, but he is able to find Genji and all of that. However, the trades here seem to be they're eventually going to favor Rush Hour, as they do have a massive spawn advantage, and Queen coming out might be a little bit stronger than the Malga. We're not too sure. Malga has been in this really weird spot since Overbot's Season 1. He was excellent all throughout Season 1, and then he just completely fell off the face of the planet in Season 2. There was a patch that nerfed him, but that happened in the middle of Season 1, so I'm not too sure why Season 2 was such a struggle, but the end of Season 1 was still so good for him. Genji gonna go off the map here. From that pin, I think he got sent flying. Bastion's still up, but Queen is dealing with him quite well. Mei gonna help. All that's left is this Winston's way in the backline. I don't know if he's gonna be able to... Well, he's distracting a bit from the Mei and the Queen. However, I think eventually Mei is gonna push this thing in unless Winston can get back on this payload, which Winston will just barely touch, but he's going to get off immediately. And that is just going to be it. Ryan's going to get pushed off. So Rush Hour going up 1-0 in this first match against No Diff Uncs. It's looking fairly dominant here. Going to another escort here, so 2 escort maps being played in the series. Not exactly ideal if you're No Diff Uncs, especially after seeing that first map. Rush Hour up 1-0. Gonna have to see how this next map goes. We're gonna have 2 tanks reselecting, so can always change how the pace of a match is going. If you get an excellent tank bot, and the other team gets a horrible one, it can change the pacing a little bit, as we've seen before. Can completely alter how a match can result, and the Rissa Rhine is so brutally strong. Not too sure if No Defunks are going to be able to deal with this as they are sticking to that ROM pick on Junkertown. Hasn't been working amazingly for them yet, but is better than some tanks you could get, I suppose. That Rialto was not very close. Have to see about Junkertown, though. See how Winston and Genji engages as well as that Bastion. Bastion going to come out with that turret form immediately. However, Ana's going to be the first to fall. Ryan's going to be able to pin himself off the map, so that's going to be a little bit of a help. Oh, actually he didn't go all the way off. And he will come back with a Fire Strike to kill that Genji, so good start here for Rush Hour once again. No Defunks still struggling to get anything started here. Ana going to be able to take out that Orisa. Zen somehow living at 1 HP that entire time as Genji was dancing on his head. Not sure exactly what happened there. Ryan going to go off the map. A little bit of an odd start to this one here. But somehow, someway, Rush Hour are making the spawn camp happen. Eventually will be pushed out. May's probably going to go down here. Zen's going to be the first to fall. I mean, Lucio's going down next. And May will be going the very last. So Bastion able to eventually push through Rush Hour with his turret form. Orisa going to fall. Line pin coming through. He isn't going to hit much of anything. Making a find, Ramatra. And it looks like eventually No Defunks are going to keep pushing through here. However, they do swap to a Sigma pick, so going from an okay tank to a somewhat low tier tank isn't going to be a great boon for No Defunks if they want to get back into this one, but they do make the swap anyways. Rush Hour also making a swap to a lower tier tank, so it's not exactly the worst thing in the world. Just going to have this Bastion carry a little bit harder. Going to be layering support ults here, so it will not have one of the support ults I could have had later. Now. And eventually No Defunks are going to fall here, so a little bit of a spread out shenanigans, and the double support ult really just sending it over the edge there. We will see how this next engagement goes from No Defunks, if they can get this over the finish line of the first point. Send us into some later points on this map. Struggling so far against Rush Hour. Comes the blade immediately. Nice, not going to find much of anything. Ryan's pinning in fairly deep. Genji's going to go down as he just swung on that ice cube the entire duration of his ult. Not exactly an ideal usage of said ult. And Ryan going to fling himself off the map. So, No Defunks not looking forward to too much here. They are currently in quite a hole. However, Doom getting in pretty deep. Can they punish this? No, they will not. It's looking like we're going to have to wrap around here. The Shatter is kind of massive. It finds both the Ana and the Bastion. They're going to be able to find that Ana, pick up. Sigma's going to go down. Bastion's on the high ground with his form, but he's not able to find too much value other than that Lucio. It's looking like this is just going to be a full hold here by Rush Hour on Junkertown, so they are very dominant looking this season. Even more so than previous season. I almost feel glad for Rush Hour, as they've been so close in the past. They just haven't quite been able to get into that finals match. But this is starting to look like it really could be their season. This might be a season where they don't drop a single map. They look extremely good. I'm used to hating on those super teams. However, this is a super team without anything that I would deem too cringe. It doesn't have a Bastion or a Torb. So or Roadhog or Mauga. And it has seemed very powerful thus far into Rush Hour's longevity for the season. They dispatched another very strong looking team, 3-0, and now they're going for No Diff Unk's throat. Looks like Rush Hour might also 3-0 this team. I have to see how Microfish finishes at the end of the season, because that team did not look very good against this squad. However, No Diff Unks is also similarly struggling here. They did struggle against Logie Swords as well, though, so Logie Swords and Rush Hour are two teams to look out for as the season progresses. Probably your favorites in Get Good and Never Back Down already. I know I'm saying that after one match played for Logie Swords and one match played for Rush Hour, but they are already looking like two of the top squads we have in this league. They drafted very well. Bastion going to be able to pick up that Zen. Ryan going to get the Bastion. Mei is just all alone here. They're going to go down. Alright, Lucio, Ryan able to push through here. And this is looking like they are going to go up 2-0 in this one. So they had a very good hold against No Diff Unks. You're only going to see about one more attack here from this squad. See if they can get anything done, but so far it's not looking to be the case. So they are still on the Sigma, unfortunately, for No Diff Unks. Bastion form does come out. Tank gonna be able to find that Ana. Bastion gonna fall. Winston gonna fall. Rush Hour just looking to clean up this 2-0 to start this one. Gonna get on this payload and push it in to finish off Junkertown. So, first map they hold No Diff Unks to only 1.5 points. And on this one they will hold them to 0 and then claim the win. Rush Hour looking very dominant so far in this 2-0. See if they can just clean it up on this final map. Has been quite a dominant showing from Rush Hour so far, though. Kind of how we expect most of the season to go, so we're going to be most likely finishing on Nepal unless the No Diff Unks can put something together here. It's going to be very interesting to see what the tanks situate out to be here. So it looks like both teams are going to opt for the Junker Queen. Could be impactful for both of them here. There's a lot of extra damage that's going to come through, as well as sustain. Rush Hour definitely going to be a squad looking for the crown this season. They have fallen just short in the first two. It would be great to see this team get more success, as they have been so close twice before. It's not able to make it. Rhyme Pin coming through, gonna finish off that queen very quickly. And the queen on the other side will pick up the Ana. Bastion gonna go down. Mei gonna get the Genji, so dominant start here for Rush Hour so far. Mei able to pick up the monkey while he's trying to retreat. This is looking like Rush Hour's point to lose here now. They are looking very strong over this No Diff Unks roster. At the moment, No Diff Unks last season just finished barely outside of playoff contention. They are repping a pretty solid squad this year. Queen going in fairly deep. Here comes No Diff Unks. Lucio gonna go down. Zen gonna go down. However, Rush Hour are just a whole other beast to deal with. Obviously, No Diff Unks haven't had too much success, but I think the two teams they've been placed up against have been maybe even top dogs of each division, so we'll have to see if that is the truth or not. They do have 3 previous league champions in the Mei, Lucio, and Zen. Zen is going to fall. Lucio's going to fall. However, Queen able to trade out the Queen and the Ana. So even despite the opening picks going the way of No Diff Unks, they're just not able to make it happen. Rush Hour looking to make this 100-0 against No Diff Unks, and this is starting to look like a slaughter, a dominant performance here from this Rhine bot squad. Rush Hour continuing to be a beast throughout Season 1 and 2 and 3. 2 especially. 3 looking like it's going to be an even better season for them so far. As long as those other rosters that contend with them aren't the type that can beat them. But they just look so good this season already. Looking like an excellent start. Arissa Winston going to be on the docket here. So you do pick up that Arissa. That's going to give you a solid chance in this next point if you are on the side of No Diff Unks. So we'll have to see if that Arissa makes a big difference for them or not. Gonna have to start fighting for the series right here and now. If you want to run this back, you're gonna have to do a reverse sweep in this map as well as the series if you want to win this. You're already down in an 0-2 hole. Gonna have to hope that Arissa saves your squad here. Here comes Rush Hour looking very powerful. Winston gets absolutely shred through by this Rush Hour squad. It's looking like a massacre so far. Bastion able to take out one, but that's not going to be enough. Rush Hour just continuing to be dominant over No Diff Unks. Hasn't looked very close in this one at all yet. See if they can get another fight here. But this team is looking like a whole new beast. Going to be difficult to deal with. We're going to have to see, I think, quite a few trades coming in from teams that are going to want to contend with this Rush Hour squad. We have to look for anyone that is selling to try to get a higher draft pick in next season. Genji going to be able to find out that Zen. However, Ryan just makes your team so much more powerful as we've seen, and even with this Arissa, this No Diff Unks roster is struggling to get in there against this Rush Hour team. This could very well be a 3-0 here from Rush Hour. The Queen and the Lucio and the Reinhardt and the Mei, they are looking like a very solid roster here. Of course, Tank 1 can be anything, so to keep that in mind for future matches. Genji going to be able to deal with a few here, so No Diff Unks actually going to win one fight on Nepal here at least. They will eventually grab this point, start building. They're going to need this Bastion to put on his carry pants, though, if they want to carry out this Nepal map. Rush Hour gonna regroup here. Ult coming out from this Bastion. Zen gonna pick off 3, and that's just a fight win there. Absolute powerhouse. Zenyatta. And that will just be it. Rush Hour are gonna win this series 3-0. Wasn't very close at all here for No Defunct, so might need to go back to the drawing board. See if you can get trades. Maybe think about swapping off the tank bot. We'll have to see about that one. Maybe adding more damage might be what your team needs. Gotta think about what this team is gonna need in the future. I think they already are thinking of a trade with Microfish. However, that's not gonna go through until after this week of games. I will try to keep everyone updated on trades. However, they are going to be legal until I start matches again next week. That is a 3-0 though, going into the books. Rush Hour looking very strong this season once more. Good on them. They might have a chance at a ring this season. We'll see about it though.